I'm Megan Mitchell. This is my co-host, John Morrison, and you are listening to the True North Racing Podcast.
Time to strap in, pull those belts, and get ready for an action-packed episode of the True North Racing Podcast. Are you ready to unhelmet your favorite racers? Get ready for the most fun you'll have outside the racetrack to get you ready for the next race. You're listening to John Morrison and Megan Mitchell, and this is the True North Racing Podcast.
What's up, everyone, and welcome back to a brand new episode of the True North Racing Podcast presented by Driving With Hailey. I'm your host, John Morrison. This week I am flying solo. Yeah, this is going to be a little bit different again for me this week. Don't have much to talk about racing-wise. Mother Nature unfortunately won out for the better part of the weekend. Man, but I did get back to the racetrack on Friday. Traveled down to Delaware Speedway and to go chat with and hang out with Cody Wilds. Yeah, that was definitely a lot of fun. Me and Jacqueline headed down there Friday afternoon, and man, we had I love the track so much, and it's just one of those things that you can't always win at all the tracks you go to, and that's exactly what it was. We being on the in the infield again, it truly, I forgot, because the last time I was in the infield at Delaware Speedway, it had to have been almost 15 years ago. Probably about the last time I was in the pits at Delaware. So still had a fantastic time. Got a great shot some great content with the vlog. Hanging, like I said, the only problem was that when he was gonna go for heats, I don't know why, but the GoPro died. No battery life. I'm like, what? No. Tried to change the battery quickly, but he had to get rolling. So unfortunately, we didn't get any footage of him going out for his heat. But we did get watching him. So that's a bonus that we were able to get that kind of footage from the night from Cody. We did use our GoPro 7. Unfortunately, me being the person I am, I forgot to actually put in the SIM card, the SD card. And so of course, I didn't get any practice shots. I'm so sorry to Hannah Lamont and to Ryan Houston for not being able to get that, and Jennifer Hatch as well, because Jennifer was going to run the GoPro for us in her heat, and just with how the day went, I ended up just not doing what I should have done, or not being able to get it done. I should have done it earlier. I didn't. That's on me. But we threw it on Jaden Chapman's car for his heat race. And then we threw it on the bumper, underneath the rear bumper, with Ray Morneau during his 35 lap feature. And we got some great footage. Unfortunately, the footage I was really hoping for, it didn't survive the wreck. For anyone who doesn't know, the 03 and the 22 got into it going into 3, and which is where my GoPro fell off. Yeah. So after the races, after finishing up some filming, I ran over, and I asked the safety guys, I'm like, hey, by chance, did you guys pick up a GoPro down in turn 3 and 4 during that late model wreck? They said no. They sent out a crew quickly back out to the track to take a look. Coming back, and they found it. Yeah, they found it. I'm surprised by that. And it actually came back. It was on when they handed it to me. But here is the aftermath of the GoPro. And this is all that came back was the case. I don't even know where the roll bar mount is. So if there's a roll bar mount someone picks up at Delaware Speedway, you're welcome. If it's not broken, was able to recover the footage right up until the last green flag run. Literally, they just took the green flag run when they were gonna go into turn 3 and unfortunately wreck. Oh my god, do I feel stupid? That was I was really hoping that we were gonna be good. Um, but yeah, it was like, oh, I'm so upset we didn't get that footage because it would have been such great content to show. But again, I gotta thank Ray for letting me put the GoPro back there. That's the first time and last time that GoPro will be put on a late model. We were joking that this is my cursed one, by the way. This is as Kaylin, if you guys follow me on Facebook, Kaylin Wallace commented saying it was that the cursed one we named it Steve last year. And said yeah. And um I'm thinking, I'm joking. I'm kind of tempted to, but I kind of want to put it in um a glass case and memorialize it, kind of thing. It still works. It's still operable, but I only have two more roll bar mounts, so I don't really have a use for that camera this year. So yeah, like I said, it was really cool. We had a lot of fun this weekend though, being able to get back to the track, being able to record another race day vlog, which I'm currently working on. So if anyone's is like, why isn't it up yet? To be fair, I may have already gotten up by this point. But if you guys are listening to this and you guys don't see it, check out Thursday. I may have it up Thursday for you guys up on the YouTube page. So just keep an eye out. Like I said, it was such a great time. I got to thank Cody Wilds, Jay Wilds for having us there. And if you guys look over my right shoulder here, you guys will see some new t-shirt hanging back there. That is our crew shirt for the 2024 season. So if you see us at a racetrack this year, you guys better bet you're gonna see me rocking that thing at the racetracks this summer. It is fantastic. It has all our sponsors on there. It has the podcast on the top. There actually has our A Day at the Races logo on the shoulder, which is really cool. Front and back side of the Joe Media. It is a slick looking shirt. So yeah, if you see me in it this summer, don't be afraid to come up, stop by, say hi. It is such a cool thing. Something I've been wanting to do for the last 4 years since I started Joe Media Promotions. That was the goal, was we were going to have these once we started getting some sponsors and stuff like that. And we've been able to do that. And of course, it's not this get us having our team of myself, Jacqueline, Brandon Feeney, Megan Mitchell, and my boys Robert and Maverick. They have their own shirts as well that they're going to be rocking this summer at racetracks. If it wasn't for everyone on that t-shirt, on that shirt over there, none of this would be possible. None of those shirts would be possible this year, and I got to thank each and every single one of them. Of course, I got to thank our Day at the Races vlog sponsor, JTM Racing. They're coming in huge for us this year. I appreciate them for all their support and all their working with us this summer. Like I said, you guys are gonna be able to catch them with a race day vlog later this year. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great event. But of course, Saturday, man, guys, you want to know how close I was to really this is going to be a good day. We left the house at 2:00 to go. We actually headed out to go get to deal with a Mother's Day thing, to pick up a Mother's Day present for Jacqueline's mom, and we were 10 minutes from the track, maybe 10 minutes. And all of a sudden, 20 minutes ago, Delaware Speedway has Canceled the night's action. All right. Well, we took a look. Maryville still running. All right. Should we make a trek down? We're down this way. It's only an extra 30, 45 minutes. If anyone who knows me, I love driving, so that's not a big deal. Got down there. We just got off the highway 10 minutes ago. Maryville Speedway. Fortunately, folks, we have to cancel tonight's race. I'm like, damn it. That's okay. We're down here. We're gonna get some barbecue. Of course, we stopped off and got some Maryville smoked meat and to the smokehouse. And of course, we had the Maryville pizza, which of course delicious. If you have not been and gotten yourself some good food, some food from there, I highly recommend it. I get a brisket on a bun, and it's so good. But yeah, like I said, go down there. But anyways, the night wasn't a total loss. Something I like to do when I'm not doing the racing stuff, or just a little side hobby, is not even a hobby, but it's something I'm interested in, is actually the paranormal. I haven't never really been into it, but over the last couple of years, I've really gotten into it a little bit more, to the point where I actually went on a ghost walk 2 years ago in Niagara-on-the-Lake. And it is one of the coolest things you'll ever do. It is one of the coolest things I've still continued to do. I've been on 2 tours now. I went one last night as well with Jacqueline and my sister-in-law, Amy. We were down there anyways, and I was like, hey, what did you say? Let's go on a ghost walk, see if we get someone different, and see what it's like. And let me tell you something. Even if you don't believe in ghosts or the paranormal, the history of Niagara-on-the-Lake is a freaking beautiful story. I highly recommend anyone to go down there, check it out. It is a very affordable visit for you to be able to do something like that. Um, I'm gonna flash forward some pictures here real quick of some of the places we got to go. You don't go into any of the buildings, but you do get to experience the storytelling and the what kind of makes it what it is. It is the history of it, the stories and the experiences that they have. Um, by the end of it, you're either going to believe or you're not, and that's fine. But still, some of the things that they do, like there's a movie that was filmed there. I can't remember the year. It's called The Dead Zone. It has Christopher Walken in it. One of the sets that they used is still in Niagara-on-the-Lake, and we actually traveled to it last night. Now it is about a 90-minute walking tour. And it is a lot of fun. Like I said, if you ever get a chance to do it, I highly recommend it. You can also, there's also one at Fort George. I want to go during the day again. I've been to Fort George once, and I've done the ghost walk once, and it was actually the day that Jacqueline and I got engaged. And I guess it is one of the most fun things you'll ever get to do, because even if you don't believe, the experiences that they talk about, the history of the places, especially like I like history. And I actually picked up a book last night. It's called Ghosts of Niagara-on-the-Lake, and the stories that they have. I've read two chapters tonight already, before jumping on here tonight, because I just wanted to clear my mind a little bit. Has been actually like really cool. It is one of the coolest things you'll ever get to do if you get a chance to. Tours for that are $16 a person. Like I highly recommend. I'm gonna put a link down in the description. If you guys want to go check it out. It's Niagara-on-the-Lake Ghost Walks. Very affordable. They run like throughout the week, and they put on. It's great. It is a great fun. Doesn't matter if you're young, if you're old, if you believe or you don't believe. But the stories that they have are something you don't get to see everywhere. So I just want to put that out there. I do kind of want to go on a ghost hunt myself. I'm just gonna say that. But of course, we are gonna get into this week. I'm very excited because this week we have our first driver from Laird Raceway joining us. We're gonna be having JP Delpaggio. I really hope I'm saying that correctly. joining us tonight. He is a modified champion up there at the track. He has he was in my initial conversations with Rita Anvarco, who is the general manager there, and Axel Burnmeister, who's been able to help us get in contact with some of the people at Laird Raceway. And of course, I'm rocking my Laird Raceway t-shirt tonight because why the hell not would I rock it tonight when we got one of the drivers joining us. Before we do that, you guys should know what time it is. It is gonna be the Driving with Hailey vehicle spotlight. And this week we got a really if it wasn't for the fact I have had my van for a couple years, I 100% would be going for this beauty right here. We got a 2022 Dodge Durango. It's got 68,934 kilometers. It is the RT Plus. It's got third row seating, adaptive cruise control, power passenger seat, leather interior, GPS navigation. You know people need that nowadays. Park assist, heated steering wheel, and a sunroof. It's an automatic transmission, all-wheel drive. It fits 7 people. It's got a 5.7 V8 liter motor in there. Like I said, you guys are seeing the pictures right now. It is a beautiful looking vehicle. Oh my God. Like I said, if it wasn't for the fact that I already had, look at that Hemi. If it wasn't for the fact that I had my van for a couple years, this is something I would 100% be going for. I love the look of it. It is such a beautiful vehicle. Look at that, even the Dodge logo in the seats. Oh, man. But as always, guys, if you guys are looking for a new vehicle, go and get a hold of Hailey Hill from Driving with Hailey. Of course, not only is she the presenting sponsor of the program, she is also the sponsor for many drivers in the motorsports community. So please, 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 please go give her a follow. If you guys are just looking for a new vehicle, give her a shout. She works with all kinds of credit. She helped me get a ride. She's going to help you get a ride as well. You guys can find Driving with Hailey on Facebook at Driving with Hailey. You guys can also call her at 289-808-2828, or you can email her at hhill@rightride.ca. Thank you to Hailey Hill and Driving with Hailey for being the presenting sponsor of the True North Racing Podcast, as well as our Driving with Hailey vehicle spotlight. But of course, it is now the best time of the week, guys. We have our guest this week in the Graphing Design Studio guest segment. We got JP Delpaggio. All right, we got JP with us. How's it going, man?
Hey, man, not too bad. Yourself?
Doing really well. Thank you for joining us tonight. We're definitely excited to bring you onto the show to talk about your racing career, as well as Laird Raceway. As we were talking just beforehand, it's a hidden gem. So why don't you before we continue on, before we even get started, tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is JP Delpaggio. I'm a 30-year-old driver from Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. And I guess I just got tied up in the modified racing world here in the last year or so, completely by surprise. But that's my deal right now, man. Nothing much to it.
That's awesome. Well, you're the first driver we've ever had from Northern Ontario. And it's from a track that I've yet to visit. It is on my bucket list. It's been on my bucket list for almost 2 years now. Laird Raceway. It's a hit. Look, like I said, it's a little hidden gem. It's beautiful. They throw out. They have a big super late model race at the end of the year. But we're here to talk about you, and that's the best part. And so, of course, my initial first question is, as always, is how did you get involved in racing?
So, I don't know if you know or not, but Laird Raceway is kind of tucked away in Laird Township in the middle of some farmland. And my family has a hobby farm just probably about 2 or 3 miles away from the track. So just being on the farm as a kid, I would bug my dad. You hear all the car noises and stuff as a kid, and it interests you. And Dad, take me to the races, take me to the races. Well, then shortly after that, it became, Dad, I want a race car. And my dad was like, hockey's cheaper. So I kind of, just went as a kid, watched some of my dad's friends race, and, some of the kids that I grew up with, like their parents raced. So it like sparked my interest, but then it got put on the back burner for a while. And then I don't know, I think it was around my 11th year of high school. I was in grade 11. And I think it was a buddy of mine that I played hockey with. He had a race car. He was racing out at Laird. And I went out there to watch, and ended up talking to him. He wanted to move up a division. I was interested in the sport after, a couple times being out there helping him out. Ended up buying his 4-cylinder, and then the racing bug just bit me and took me for a little bit of a ride. So
That's usually the case is, once you get that feel for it, it hits you, and then you're just gone with it. So you started off in the 4-cylinder division
I did.
at Laird Raceway. So down here we have two different 4-cylinder classes. We have the pure stocks and we have the mini stocks. So what kind of deal is the 4-cylinders up at Laird?
Right. It's more of a stock 4, kind of like affordable, cheap to get involved with, try and get your feet wet kind of deal.
Yep.
It makes it a little bit more welcoming for newcomers to try the sport. So I had an S10. It was pretty much stock. Other than a couple sets of racing wheels that we had with the car, it was pretty much stock with a roll cage in it. That's what I learned. I wanted to get into a rear-wheel drive so that, eventually maybe one day if I jumped up into another division, I'd be, not scrambling to try and figure out what a rear-wheel drive race car would do. So, I had my little S10, stock 4, stock as stock could be. And
Oh,
that's it.
jeez. How long did you race in that 4-cylinder division?
I believe it was 2 years.
Okay.
Very rough 2 years, but it was 2 years nonetheless.
Why were they rough? Just a lot of incidences, rookie mistakes, or?
I think it was the first feature I was ever involved with. I put it into the backstretch wall.
Oh
Uh,
no.
Then the next year I kissed the front wall. So any mistake you could possibly make on a racetrack, I think I did that in a matter of 2 years. So after that, I was all good. I had it all figured out after that. We were good. I made every mistake there was possibly to be made. And we got it out of the way quick. So,
Well, hey, you know what? You got out of the way quick. You can't ask for a better way to as much heartbreak as it is, it's better to get out of the way at the start than later on.
yeah.
Who were some of the drivers you leaned on in your first couple years there to really understand how this racing deal work, or did you just kind of wing it and work on it by yourself?
No, you know what? It was more or less. I had some help. The person that I bought the 4-cylinder off of would help me, and also like with his family, they would help me out. But then it was when I started socializing and getting more comfortable with, like, I guess, the so-called racing family, and it very much is a racing family.
Absolutely.
Up here, it's a very tight-knit group because we're kind of isolated. We've got Michigan and we've got Southern Ontario, but we're like, 3 or 4 hours from any other sort of racing scene, right? So we're
Yeah.
pretty tight-knit group up here. It was a lot of the older guys that race that kind of took me in under their wing. Guys like Nick Kozak, Brett Jackson. I used to watch George Wilson all the time when I was a kid. I used to go into his pizza shop. He'd give me slices of pizza and tell me, come out to the racetrack. So it was all these guys that, like, I had seen race prior that, like, when you're a young kid, they're like, well, these guys are like my heroes, like they took me under their wing, and it made it more exciting. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to ditch this 4-cylinder thing. I'm going to get into a real race car. And that's basically how that sprouted and developed. And I guess, formed into, I guess now we could call it at this stage of the story, a racing addiction. And not so much a hobby anymore after that. It was good. I
Yeah.
got myself a factory stock after that, and my whole program just kind of took flight. So
So the factory stock, what was that like? Just a little bit like up from the beginner class you ran, or was it? What was that deal like?
yeah, it was. I had an '83 Monty with
Okay.
the motor rule, not allowed any more than 360 cubic inch. You were on a 10-inch American Racer tire. Um, there was clutch rules. There was just, yeah, it was more or less. I
Sounds like
guess
a
the
street
next
stock.
street stock. It's pretty much the same deal. We were on a different tire.
Okay.
But yeah, it was mainly a street stock.
I was gonna say that 10-inch American Racer. That sounds like the late models.
Right. Right.
Even our guys still run 8 inches on their super stocks down here.
You're starting to see it change now up here. Like, so I'd taken a bunch of time off. When I came back, I noticed that, there's no more 10-inch slick. The division had kind of changed when I was gone.
Okay.
Yeah, it was, you're going to have to drive the car a little bit more. You don't have all that rubber underneath you. We're on an 8-inch tread now, in
Yeah.
that division. So yeah, I mean, it's tough, right, for us up here trying to figure out what suits everyone around us's rule book the best, so that we can have, like, we can invite cars from the States to come up and play around with us. So I'm sure we've probably had seen a great increase in car counts after we kind of tailored the tire rule and whatnot. So
Yeah, that seems to be the thing. Like even down here, that seems to be the way to go. Is the tracks closer to the borders? They kind of work together so that way cars can travel pretty easily back and forth. So that way there's not much change. So they don't need to buy like all 4 new rubbers to go across, um, and spend $3,000 when they have perfectly good rubber here that they can just go across with. Um,
yeah,
so after your time, so you said you stepped away from racing for a little bit. How long were you away from it?
I'm gonna say 8 years, the better part of 8 years.
That's a long time.
2000, yeah, it was a long time. It was 2015.
Okay.
I had won my championship at in my division at my track at Laird,
Yep.
and I had bought another car. I sold it. I bought a modified. I ended up selling it. And I just kind of, I don't know what it was, but I feel like the whole racing for points thing, um, it just kind of drained me a little bit.
Yep.
I didn't, I wasn't super in love with it at the time. And I just kind of moved on with my life for a second there. Like, I wanted to try and make some, adult decisions. It was a weird period in my life where I'm transitioning into like home ownership, and, like I had a real,
Yeah.
I had a pretty good job lined up, and there was all sorts of, I guess we could call them adult things, that I
Yeah.
probably needed to, that 8 years, I probably needed that. I put myself in a lot better of a position, to maybe come back and revisit the sport afterwards.
Yeah.
And like completely by accident, that's pretty much what happened. Was I came back. It was last year, about halfway through the season. Came back, complete accident. Just talked to the person that I had bought the factory stock off of. I remained pretty close with him, and talked to him at the fence last year, and he said he had a modified for sale. I said, all right, how much? He told me. The next thing you know, next week I was out there, and I guess back into it, full tilt.
I mean, it's a great thing that obviously you coming back into racing after taking that much time off, and there's a car available that you could buy right then and there. What was it like after that many years of getting back into like hopping into that first race? What did that feel like for you?
You know what? It came back. Um, it came back like I had never. I wasn't as scared. I guess I don't know if that's a good word to use, because nobody wants to have to use. Oh, I was, scared behind the wheel of a race car at one point. But you know what? I had driven a modified one time before, and I was a little bit nervous. Like, it was a lot more power on a lot less tire, and it was, quite a handful, right? I came back, I feel, after 8 years, obviously, more mature. Um, and I feel like it made me better. I don't know what happened within that 8 years, but I don't know if I really lost any of my like reflex or my instincts. I think they just got better because of the years that I took away from the sport. Maybe learning some life lessons that somehow translated into racing. But I did better last year than I had ever done in my life, and I'd taken 8 years away, and it was a rejuvenating feeling. It was pretty empowering, and it made me hungry again to come back this year. And now we've got a pretty dang good idea of how much fun we had last year, and we're trying to double that and chase that rush again. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. I mean, that's typically the way it goes is once you have, you know, I I've seen people step away for like maybe a year, maybe 2 years. Hell, I got a guy working for me this year, who stepped out of the car at the end of last year after running 3 divisions at the final race weekend down at Peterborough. We're only 2 weeks into the season, and he's already got the itch, and he's trying to find a ride to get into this year.
right.
Like he's definitely like I keep telling him like sometimes you gotta take a step back a little bit, man. It's just kind of let things breathe for a minute. I got a chance to drive a race car last September for my first time ever, and I've even like contemplated. I was even joking with my wife just recently and saying like, hell, I'm like maybe I'll talk to some people, see if I can get back into a car this year, see if I can actually go do this racing deal. And she goes, well, I mean, we're married now, so I guess you can try to go again, but uh,
It's a lot of fun, man, and it grabs a hold of you
oh, it's
as soon as you get bitten by that bug. You think you can escape from it. You just get a little taste of it, and it just pulls you right back in.
See, you want to know the weird thing about me though is there's always been one event I've always wanted to do because I think it's absolutely stupid, but it is looks like the most fun you'll ever have in a race car, and that is doing crazy trains.
Crazy trains.
You ever heard of those?
No, never.
Okay, so crazy trains is the first car all motor,
Okay.
second car just steering, third car just brakes. All three cars can steer, but
Okay, I've seen it. I've seen it.
yeah.
Yep.
But here's the thing, though. I don't want to drive. I don't want to be the guy on the gas. I don't want to be the guy on the brakes. I want to be that person in the middle who has to make sure that their teammates are doing everything correctly. I want to
Right.
be that middle car who all he has to do is steer. Not because I don't want to drive, because if you look at any crash compilations of crazy trains or anything that deals with them, that person has the most fun. They flip upside down. They're the ones who are most likely guaranteed to flip upside down, be yanked sideways. It looks like a freaking blast.
Right. Right.
I'm crazy enough to be back behind the wheel of a car. If in a crazy train car, if you put me in that middle car,
Right.
that is, they actually have a track down here called Varney. It's called Full Throttle Motor Speedway at Varney. They actually have that division there, and I've been trying for the last couple of years to. I almost had an opportunity 2 years ago to do it, but I didn't have all the fire and safety equipment. But now I do. I may try to see if I can hop into one week, but that
Right. A lot of fun.
it looks stupid as all hell, and I will fully admit that, but it looks like the most fun.
I think
Um,
anybody who wants to get behind the wheel of a race car has got to have a little bit of stupid in them. But
hey, no different than me doing this stuff right here. So,
right. Right.
um, and the best part is though, as I can actually go back and relive my first time behind the wheel of a stock car because I did shoot some in-car footage that day, and I put it up on my YouTube channel, so that way whenever I feel like going back and being like, I got the chance to drive a race car, I can actually go back and watch it just so I can relive the moments because I actually
Right.
spun out like 2 or 3 times.
Right.
So it was so much fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, you know what? Looking back at old in-car footage is something that I stayed away from in that 8 years because I knew, I knew better.
Yeah.
I was like, no, I can't. I'm not in the position to, be able to drive a race car and live my life. And it's all about balance, right? And I knew
Exactly.
if I watched in-car footage or any of my old recorded races, then it was game over. But that's half the fun is watching all that stuff back. It's cool. It's like
Absolutely.
you're like an artist. You're looking back on your art, and it makes you happy. There's some sort of euphoric feeling you can't really describe by watching your stuff back. But
Exactly. Now, I don't know if you saw or not. I actually technically lost a GoPro on Friday night.
you lost a GoPro.
I got it recovered, but it was involved in a wreck in the late models at Delaware Speedway on Friday night.
Oh no, I didn't see.
So that's what's left of the case, which is still
Oh,
like in good shape for the most part. But as you can see, like they usually have like two prongs down here. One is broken off. And this is the GoPro.
oh no. Oh yeah, no. Is it
It
toast? Does it turn on?
it still turns on. The problem is I'm not able to recover the wreck footage.
Oh no.
It literally shut off or it stopped recording or because of the jolt of the impact.
Some sort of safety trigger, I bet. Yeah.
Yeah, so when they took the green flag on the last restart to go to and where they ended up wrecking, that is when the GoPro stopped.
Oh no.
So it was like 2 laps shy.
They're not cheap anymore, eh?
No, that's my 7. This is my first GoPro I picked up back in 2020.
Right.
So I'm now I had 3 GoPros, now I'm down to 2. Um but yeah, that was just it was so wild that it even made it because like I asked the safety guys, I'm like, hey, by chance did you pick up a GoPro in that late model rack? They're like, no. I'm like, where was it? I'm like down in turn 3 and 4. And sure enough, they came back with the GoPro and it was still on when I got it.
No way.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it.
That's awesome. At least you got it back, right?
Yeah.
Everything up
Uh,
until everything up until the wreck. You
up
you got it
until
on.
2 laps prior.
Really?
Yeah. So I had it tucked under the left rear quarter,
Okay.
facing backwards.
Okay.
So I don't know if you ever watched the NASCAR Pinty's races or the NASCAR Canada Series races on TV or anything like that, but they usually they've always shown a camera facing out the back of the car from underneath the bumper, and I always thought it was one of the coolest shots they've ever done, and I've always wanted shots like that for my own personal use. I've done it on a couple occasions just for shits and giggles. Oops, crap, I forgot I can't say that anymore. Um, we're on the radio up in Owen Sound now, so we can't do that much anymore. We're on the True House Sports Radio up there, so we shouldn't be swearing. Um,
I'll keep that in mind because I tend to get a little carried away sometimes. But
so I do too, and then I click in. I'm like, damn it, I forgot. The uh oh crap, yeah, they I put it back there and just to grab the shots, and of course it was the second time I've ever done that in a race where it's been on the rear bumper like that. Um, it and I'm surprised. He's like, I can't promise it will come back in one piece. I'm like, that's fine because they already had a crack down the lens.
right.
And I was like, if it survives, if it survives. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It's at this point, it's just for fun shots.
Right.
So, like I said, it's one of my favorite GoPros, but it is now we're jokingly gonna put it is we call this my cursed one too because also the division I used to work with, half the teams will not allow me to put a GoPro on their car because every time that particular GoPro was on a car, it ended up in a wreck.
Bad luck. Not
Yeah.
good. Not good. I was gonna say maybe you come up to Laird and you could put a GoPro on my car, but I think I'm just gonna give you my USB cards after I'm done racing. You can do whatever you want with the footage.
Here's the thing though, is that my Hero 5 and my Hero 9, they're good. They have never been involved in a wreck. They never caused a wreck. But the 7 has always caused a wreck or been involved.
Well, I'm taking my 7 and leaving it at home. I think I've got a 3. I think I have a 3 and a 9 or something like that, and a 7 in the middle there. I'm gonna probably leave the 7 at home. after this conversation. But
Oh boy. Uh, you know what? But it is good though to go back and rewatch footage. And of course, even taking 8 years off to be able to just and then come back racing is still phenomenal. You racing in the modified division. Why don't you tell us a little bit about these modified cars so that maybe if they're different compared to our Oscar modifieds down here, I can learn a little bit something different.
I'm not exactly sure on the ruling for the Oscar mods.
Yeah.
But we're based around the Midwest Modified Tour in Michigan and Ohio, that area.
Okay.
We're kind of based off their rule set. Open motor rule, 8-inch treaded tire. At Laird anyway, we run American Racer treaded tires at Laird. In the States, we have like an F70 8-inch slick. And it's a handful. You can have as much motor as you want, but try and hook it up on an 8-inch tire, right?
Yeah.
The cars weigh 24 or 50. They're pretty light. They're pretty haywire. And I had someone ask me this year, well, actually, sorry, not this year, last year, why I would want to go modified when, a super late model, there's, more money to win. There's this, there's that. Well, there's for sure, but there's more upkeep. They are more expensive to run. And I feel like the modified division is, you got to be a driver, right? You're taming quite the piece of equipment. So it interested me because I can have that ability to travel to a racetrack 3-4 hours down into the States. And once you get there, there's you stay the night, there's another race the next day somewhere, probably a stone's throw away from that racetrack. It's more interesting racing to me right now for like what I'm geared towards in my life. I feel like it's going to give me the opportunity to like hit a bunch of different racetracks. And like, I have this list now after talking to a good buddy of mine, Jay Palumbo. He's got a map of all the racetracks in Michigan in his garage, and he's just checking them off. Right. And I kind of fell in love with that idea. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? I want to do that. So last year I hit Delaware Speedway. This year I want to hit a whole bunch of different racetracks. I was supposed to race Berlin last night. I don't have, my new car is not ready yet, so we didn't get the chance to do that. But we're gonna try and hit a bunch of different tracks this year. And I don't know. I like the camaraderie in it. There's a bunch of good guys in this division around here, like Jay Palumbo, Josh Ware, Tim Aho, Mark Loxo. We've got a lot of good drivers at our track too. And
That's
I
always
feel
good
like,
to know.
yeah, no, I feel like the class itself is developing quite a bit over here, and a lot of people are taking interest to it.
Yeah.
It's exciting. It's really exciting to be a part of, and yeah, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe one day super late model, but I think it's open wheel modified for me for a while. So
Hey, you know what? Nothing wrong with that. I love the open wheel modified division. Hell, I first fell in love with modifieds, and it was actually the vintage modifieds
right,
down here because they were partially because the way they sounded, a lot of them ran inline sixes at the time. There's still a couple guys who do, but now they've introduced the 602 V8s that they can use, and it's even still, like, I love the look of the modifieds, the Oscar modifieds down here. I think they look great. They look a lot like the tour mods you see down stateside
right.
as well now. And those cars, they're fantastic to watch. And I will openly honestly say I would probably never ever drive an open wheel car because of the risk factor you guys take in one of those things. But I applaud you guys because you guys put on hell of a lot. Like, you guys, because the thing is with open wheel racing is that you do have to be careful when you're going wheel to wheel with someone, because you're not like in a fendered car. You can't just bump the door. You
Can't lean on anybody really. I
you
mean,
can't
you
lean
can,
on anyone.
but you're misaligned with someone's door just a couple inches, and you're gonna, you got the run
Or-
coming out of the corner on the inside, and you're behind them. You push them up the track, your wheels are probably hopping over each other, and you're gonna go for a ride. It
Exactly.
honestly is really scary. You don't think about that in the car though. weirdly
No,
enough.
I I have always said, and I because I truly believe this, because every time I go karting, I know my wife hates me for it because I'll take my own helmet,
Right.
and she looks at me she's like, "Why are you bringing your own helmet?" Well, why not? Like, it's there, I got it. Why not use it?
Right.
So the one time we went to, actually, sorry, I went. This is years ago. I went with some friends of mine down to Canadian Mini Indy. It was just off the 401 in Toronto, and I would get it behind the wheel of the cart. I'd have my visor up. As soon as that visor came down, I could feel myself change into another person,
I know.
where you don't think about that. And I started seeing that with everyone I knew
It's amazing.
shortly after that, that every time that visor goes down when they're in the car, it's like Jim Carrey's mask. It's probably the best way to describe
100%.
it. Every time the mask goes on, completely different person.
And the thing is, you'll never understand that unless you do it. Like
Exactly.
I can't explain that feeling.
You
That
can't.
you may have just hit it on the head where that probably the number one feeling in the world to me, like that I've ever experienced, is when you flip that visor down and you're rolling out. It is like it turns you into something.
Yeah,
You channel out any other. You might have had a bad day at work. You might be, fighting with one of your friends, whatever it is. You're not thinking about it. And you are someone else for 10, 20, 50, 100 laps, whatever it may be. And yeah, that is probably single-handedly the coolest feeling that you can never describe to anyone unless they do it themselves, right?
exactly. Right. And that's the thing. Like, I've even told Jacqueline, I got to take my own helmet when we go karting, not because I want to use someone else's helmet, but because I know when I put that visor on, I feel like I turn it, like, especially we're going, go karting at a road course. I feel like I'm Mario Andretti or Marco Andretti, just whipping around.
Right.
Just like I honestly think that, like, I'm gonna go, like, I'm someone not even myself.
Right.
Like,
It's
I
a
know how
cool
to take
feeling.
these corners. I know how to do this. I know how to do that. As soon as I take the helmet off and I'm watching, like, a couple years ago, we went go karting, like I said, and I ended up losing a ticket on the track. So I was done a lap early before my wife. And so I got out of the cart and I stood over there and I was so excited just watching her drive. But when I was out there, I was trying so hard to pass her.
100%.
Like, like you said,
It's
you can never describe it until someone puts a full face helmet on, flips that visor down, and goes on the track.
right. I've talked about this with a buddy of mine, Jay Palumbo. We are like very good chums off the racetrack. Have no problem slamming a couple beers with them after the race, being a couple dudes in the pits, having a good time, joking around. As soon as we line up beside each other, it's just game on, right? Like
Yep.
you don't see that person. You see an object that you're trying to overcome and pass, and it's pretty much game on. It's weird though. It does something to you.
It, you,
And obviously you do know who your friends are on the racetrack, and you do. I race everyone the same. It does
yeah.
not matter. You do. I respect everyone. I don't like to consider myself to be a dirty driver or anything like that. But I mean, if it's like, if I'm racing the Hot Shoe 100 at Owasso this year and my mom's leading the race with one to go, I might dump her. You know what I mean? I just, you don't care when you're behind the
Yeah,
wheels.
absolutely. Every person you see on the track is just an enemy to get to be the first one to get to that checkered flag.
Absolutely.
Doesn't matter who it is. Like, I got my co-host who usually would be on the show tonight. She's unfortunately sick right now. Um, she is racing in the same division as her brother, her sister, and her father.
Right.
And she goes, as soon as I know I put that helmet on, they're not my family.
They're just
But
people.
last week, because she was still not feeling well last week, she ran a lap, pulled off, and her dad pulled off with like 4 laps to go or something like that. And her brother tied his best finishing third in a feature, and the GoPro was left on the car, and you can see how excited she was that he got a third place finish.
Right. That's
Like,
awesome.
oh yeah, it's such a wholesome moment, but it's so cool when
For sure.
when you know they're your competition on the track, but your family off the track.
Right. It's
It's
cool the amount of wholesome moments that racing breeds, right? Like
absolutely.
it's awesome. Some of my best memories are made at the racetrack, and I could have, finished whatever. Like I went to a Wausau last year, I finished like 12th or 13th, and I was like the happiest guy at the racetrack because I knew how dense the competition was. But it's just like, yeah, those wholesome moments. It's cool when you catch them on camera, candid, right? I've got one
Absolutely.
like that from last year as well, with my crew chief Michael Gold, who I'm now racing against this year, which should be very exciting. You can see the excitement, and then I noticed a couple things where he was still like checking tire pressures and all that, and then after it was all said and done, like the celebration that we had was quite the moment. And yeah, that's why I like those GoPros. You catch a lot of cool stuff.
Absolutely. I've whenever I like last year when I went out to Peterborough with a buddy of mine, we would every time I turned the GoPro on, I made a comment or he would be saying something. So I would like, smile for the camera, let's go racing. And he goes, ka-chow. Or like what was the other one he did? Oh, in Heat 1, he goes, I tried running through the grass and I couldn't get or it's like he made a comment about like not being able to run. He's like, I tried this, but now I'm going to try this. I'm like, buddy, it's not a dirt track. He goes, but if you get below that, there's going to be a cushion because you're going to hit the curbing. I'm like, okay, you're not wrong, but still, let's not get down the grass.
Right.
But like, it catches some great moments and moments most people wouldn't believe happen unless they heard it
Right.
or seen it.
Right. I think they're good to have too as a tool to go back and learn. Right. Like
Oh yeah,
that's our main focus. Is like trying to get better and better. Like we've come up with a little bit more of a dialed in program where we can use some of that footage as a tool. I
yep,
mean, at first you don't think about it. Like this is where that 8 years off comes into play, right? Like back in the day when I was racing factory stocks and stuff, it's just cool to put a camera on your car to catch. I want to win and I want to get it on tape because it looks cool. Like, of
yep.
course, like any other kid's gonna think that. Like I want some good footage, right? Now it's like we're deeply analyzing like what we did wrong. Like every single turn of every race, I want to break it down and see where I made like the most minuscule mistake that might have cost me a position or cost me a couple tenths of a second that lap. Like they're great tools to have. So it's
Oh yeah.
yeah.
That's why like whenever anyone like if I have a spare GoPro, like when I had a spare GoPro, some people like, hey, can you throw it into my into the car to see what it's doing? Absolutely. I'll put it up on YouTube and you can go back and watch as many times as you like. Because
Absolutely.
what better way to find out what was happening with the car? You can go back on your own thoughts and see what the car was doing and what you think the car was doing, and now you can physically see what it's doing. That's why I get upset with some people who put their cameras on the roof, because I don't say you can't see the full picture.
Right.
You see the car going around and that's fantastic. But until you show an in-car shot of out the front windshield where you can see the driver's hands, you won't understand what your car is doing just from a roof cam, in my opinion.
No, I agree with that.
But you certainly can see it, especially if you're sawing on the wheel, but a roof cam shows that you were nice and steady in the middle of the corner.
Right.
Right? Like you could be sawing in the middle of that in the middle of the turn, trying to get
That's
the thing to
why
come around. And
right. My crew chief this year for that sole reason alone, like George DeFelice, my crew chief, he's just as invested in this thing as I am. And he's like, okay, listen, I want to get a chin mount. I want to have a driver's point of view. So he
I
bought
love
a chin
it.
mount. He bought me a chin mount for my helmet so that, okay, I can see out the front window. I've got that point of view, right? And now
Yep.
I'm seeing my wheel inputs. I'd like to put a camera down by my feet too.
Yeah.
But you're right. Absolutely. You need to be able to have a little bit more information to go off of, because you don't see my hands, you don't see my wheels, you don't really know what you're doing. You see a nice smooth exit out of the corner, but my hands could be moving back and forth a million times because, I'm loose or whatever.
Exactly. And that's what I say. Anyone who ever runs their GoPro on their roofs, put it inside the car. One, you're going to probably save your GoPro. Two, you're going to have a better understanding of what you're doing behind the wheel of the car.
Exactly. No,
And
definitely agree with that.
I mean, and that's what my race day vlogs are about too, is helping our drivers that we work with if they want to watch it, they can go back and understand what they're doing in the cars.
Right. I mean, there's a lot to be learned by every angle, I believe.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you are definitely, I think, right, in my opinion, for sure. We're gonna change that up. We had ours on the roof, and you can see you see a little bit, like, we're an open wheel modified, right? You can see my front wheels.
Exactly.
Other
There's
cars,
a difference there.
110%. But
yeah,
I mean, yeah, no, we're gonna change that up. We want a couple different angles this year. Try and dial our, like, fine tune our program and a little bit more with the way that we watch footage and stuff like that. Just like any other football team would watch game film on another team, we're going to do that same stuff. So,
which is, again, great things to do for your program to get better each and every week.
For sure. I mean, like, no matter how long you've been in the sport, there's people that have been in the sport for 30, 40 years. They're still learning new things every time they go to the racetrack. And I guess I'm a rookie to this whole thing again. And I don't know the slightest bit about my program as much as, like, there's guys like Jay Palumbo, Josh Ware, all these other modified guys. Like, these are the guys that I look up to around here, right? And like, they've got their stuff figured out. But that's through, like, trial and tribulation. They've been to a million different racetracks. They've tried a million different things. They've learned from their mistakes, and everybody's watching themselves race, taking bits of information and trying to figure it out the next week, like if they made a mistake or whatever. But yeah, I mean, you could be in this sport for 30 years. Like, I'm sure even Josh Ware would tell you he's, been to every racetrack in Michigan probably that you can race a modified at, and he's still learning a new thing.
Oh yeah.
And I'm just lucky enough to have these guys to learn from. We're very much fresh, green thumb when it comes to these modifieds. And it's nice to have people that you race against on a daily basis, like, want to help you, which says a lot about the racing community and the camaraderie.
Oh yeah.
So,
you don't see that very much.
No, like, I don't know what it is about up here. It's a lot more welcoming. Like, your competitors, a lot of us were, like, friends before this, but I have met a lot of new people from racing, and just, like, the like, welcoming with open arms kind of mentality that they have about their competition. Like, I race against Jay Palumbo, like, every week at Laird.
Yeah.
And he's just like, hey, I tried this and this and this. You should try that. And I go out, it makes me faster. And I'm like, why would this guy want to make me faster? You know what I mean? But I think from my perspective, I want to race against the guys that are fast, and I want to beat you at your best. Right.
Yep.
So it's pretty cool, because there's a lot of, I know that there's a lot of stories of people like, oh, do this and this and this. And it's just like, they're giving you misinformation to try and get up. Right. So
that's like, that kind of goes back to, like, the vintage modifieds and the way that crew works, because they have only just themselves to lean on, because they can't just look, if they're upset with one another driver and they want to go race somewhere else, they can't. They actually have to travel to Michigan if they want to race.
Right.
So you can either work with them, be upset with them for 5-10 minutes, but realize you got to race them again next weekend, or you're going to travel 5-6 hours to go race down in Michigan. You pick your poison.
Exactly.
And again, like, I find the entry levels up until you reach super stock down here anyways, is when a lot of camaraderie happens, and there's a lot of great friendships. I find once you get into the more competitive series down here, that's when you can be friends, but you're not talking racing.
Right.
You're not talking setups. You're not talking that's what I find. That's my personal experience. From working with teams and working and being around racing down here. But it's great to see that you guys have a great support system where, because I know a guy down here. His name's TJ Marshall. He's the president of the Vintage Modifieds. He has helped about the last 2 or 3 rookies really who come in. He's given them pointers, helped set up their cars, and they go, "We want to help you get fast, but we're not going to tell you all our secrets to beat me."
Right.
So they want to see you get fast. So that way there's more cars who are battling for that top spot than because there's divisions you see for the top 4 cars just run away. Then you have another pack of like three to five cars. Then you got the tail pack who's like 2 or 3 cars.
Right.
Which is great. You got 3 different packs, but and that are all close racing, but you want to have more cars trying to battle for position to be that top spot.
Right. And I mean,
right?
there's got to be a sense of pride there too, as far as like, I can tell you a bunch of information to make you faster, and like I can give you my whole setup. But if you're not willing to like take my pointers to point you in the right direction and like, develop your own information and knowledge around that to try and advance your racing program, like you're not doing your due diligence, then, there's, what are you doing it for? Right.
Exactly.
If you're the one that's asking, hey, I'm going to ask this person for help. They gave me a couple setup tips. Okay, I see the general idea. It's your responsibility to take that and say, okay, I see the general direction you're trying to point me in. And now, out of respect to you, I'm going to go and figure out the rest on my own. I'm not just going to sit there and hound you for all these years worth of information that you've developed by trial and error. Like it's like, hey, can I, I'm writing this math test, can I have all the answers for it?
Yeah.
I want to be, what are you learning at the end of the day?
Nothing.
So, I mean, there's, to an extent, I think it's awesome. And it's like Laird Raceway, especially, we're a tight knit group up here. It's a lot of fun to race. It's right in our backyard, right? Like a lot of guys grew up here and they don't know of any other racing scene until you get more involved in the sport. And okay, I'm going to do a little bit of traveling, but like up here, it's pretty tight knit. Everybody helps everybody. Super welcoming. But there's guys that are on their own clocks, right? You got guys that, okay, I'm going to point you in the right direction, but you got to do the work.
Yeah.
But it's, for the most part, it's pretty welcoming like that up here as well. Like it's really nice. It's pretty discouraging for someone, I would imagine anyway, for someone to like want to join the sport, and not have anyone to lean on as far as information. And I feel like the reason why we have such a cool little hidden gem in the middle of Northern Ontario is because of the fact that like these older guys that are basically, like, to us, they're legends of circle track racing, like short track racing up here. There's a lot of good, talented guys that are like passing knowledge down to the younger generation getting into this. I think it's an awesome thing to see because it's what's keeping our like community, like racing community, alive up here. Without that, I mean, like, you've got a bunch of different personalities clashing, and like something like that doesn't survive up here.
Yeah.
If we don't have that. Oh, did I lose you there?
No, you were good.
No. Okay, cool. Sorry, I had another call coming in.
It's all good.
But yeah, no, that's why it's nice to see that we're like that. Because it's probably the sole reason why we're still going. Our track owner's given us a pretty awesome little playground to mess around on and have some fun. And I think we're doing our best to preserve that up here. It'd be cool, man. It'd be cool to see a lot of the Southern Ontario guys come up this year. As far as the super late model racing goes and whatever, we want to see more of that, I think. And if more people knew, what kind of community we hold up here and the camaraderie, we're pretty welcoming people, and we'd love to have other people from other tracks. We don't take it as a threat. We take it as, welcome to our place. Let's have some fun. Let's show you what Laird's all about.
Exactly.
So it's pretty cool.
You know what? And I completely agree with that. The whole reason even these conversations got started to be able to talk with guys like yourself, and we're going to be talking with Chase here in a couple weeks, is because a mutual acquaintance, a mutual friend of ours, Axel Burnmeister, reached out to me and said, "Hey man, I heard you talk about Laird. Let me get you in contact with some of the people from Laird." And look at this now. We got you. I think I've talked about you guys like 4 weeks in a row,
Right.
leading up to this, because I've been so excited. Because again, I when I found out about this track almost 2 years ago, it blew my mind away that there were other tracks than, seeing the layout, the videos I've been able to watch, and the photos I've seen. Again, a great little facility. It's not. It's like you said, tucked away. I know it's a 6.5 hour drive, but y'all run a big event at the end of the season. It's like a 3-day weekend race.
Yeah. Yep. You have a test and tune and 2 days of racing.
Like,
It's well organized and it's a lot of fun, man. Like everybody camps out. It's a really cool event, and I'm glad we have something like that around here.
absolutely. It's great though, and that's the beauty part, is that you guys have that big event. I know I've seen a couple guys from our down our end who have come up and raced in that super late model race up there. Dario, I know I'm gonna mess up the last name here. Dario Capriccio, I think, is the name.
Yep.
I know he's been up there to run. I think he even won last year, if I remember correctly.
It
Because
was the year before, I believe.
Was it
Chase
the year
won it
before?
last year.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the year
Um,
before then.
yeah.
Um,
There's guys from Southern Ontario. They come up here and they have great success, and then that's the reason why they came back the next year. You know,
now this
there's
is
so
where I
many
need to
positive factors to want to come up to that race. So
exactly. Now I need to try J.R. Fitzpatrick. If you're listening, I know you're running the super late models this year. Let me know if there's anything I could do to help you get up there to Laird. I think that would be such a cool thing for you and your family to do. Let's see what I'm gonna maybe reach out to him, see what he can do about that.
how about let's put it this way: if we're putting up 10 grand to win that race, why aren't you coming? How about
That's
that?
even better.
Right?
You're absolutely correct.
The
You guys are,
incentives are there. It's not that long of a drive. It really isn't that long of a drive.
it's 6.5 hours for me to come up there, which I can do in a friggin' snap of a finger. That's not that big of a deal for me.
Right.
But I know I'm maybe not this year, because my season's pretty already booked this year. But me and my wife have already been talking about making the trip for next year's race
Right.
up to Laird. So I know we're going to be talking about that some more over the next, to figure out the cost and everything to come up there. But I know I'm like 80 to 90% sure we're going to be coming up next year, because this, like you said, it's tucked away. It's a hidden gem. The community gets involved by the looks of it. It's a great racing community there, and like you just said, for $10,000 to win, what super late model driver from down here is not making the trip?
Right. And they all have a shot. You saw Dario Capriccio come up and win it. Like
Exactly.
there's guys that have a shot at it. Like we've obviously got it figured out because it's in our backyard and whatnot. But like there's guys that have tried that racetrack for the first time and had great success. So yeah, no, it's a cool event, and the thing is we're pulling, like, I don't know what happened in the last, like, that time of that 8 years that I was off. I came back to the racetrack the last year, and it's just like every single night our fan counts are absolutely insane. Like we had 5,000 people the
Oh
last
wow.
race year. 5,000 people. I don't know what has changed in the last little bit. I mean, obviously better promotion and all that stuff. But it's nice to see that it's kind of making like a little bit of a resurgence after COVID.
Yeah.
Like everyone's interested in it. I've got like all my friends from high school come out. Like people. The thing is with Sault Ste. Marie's, like all these different friend groups. Like a lot of my friends were like sports people. Like they were like hockey, football people, whatever it may be. And they, I'm not going to go out to Laird. I don't really have any investment in it. But then you have one of your friends that decides to try it out, right? Now you've got this whole different demographic
Yep.
this whole different crowd of people that come out there, and they're like, "Oh, hey, that was a lot of fun. I'm going to tell my other friend," and those 10 friends tell another 10 friends. And I guess over the years, like, we pulled, it was like 5,000 people for that Mike Parsons Memorial last year. That was great.
Phenomenal.
You know?
That
So,
is great.
yeah, they're doing a really good job up here. So you got
Absolutely.
to put a face to the name, and you got to get your butt up here. Check her out.
Oh, like I said, I am 100% planning to. Like I said, maybe not this year. I think my season's pretty booked this year. Um, and like I said, me and the wife for next year, we're going to be planning it. And if I can do it correctly and we get the correct sponsors for us, maybe I can do an entire vlog our entire weekend up there, and really showcase some of the racers up there, with in-car footage, interviews, the whole 9 yards. I'm sure if I talk to management there, I'm sure we can make that happen for next year.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They're more than accommodating. They would definitely want to help you out on that. So
Yeah. Before we wrap up though, like as I said before, we do have a few fan questions for you. We are gonna I before I move on here, we're gonna have to wrap up here in just a couple minutes, but I do want to invite you again to come on later this season, so we can talk more about how your season's going, because I feel like we didn't touch on a lot of things I really was wanting to get to tonight, which is
right.
perfectly fine because that is what great conversations do. They lead you to want more, and that I feel like is we've mastered that tonight. So like I said, I'm already going to be sending an invite out to you to come back on the show later this year, to talk more racing, because this has been an incredible night, and I thank you so much for joining us, to talk about your racing career, Laird Raceway. But maybe, who knows? You know what? Maybe let's book it for August. Let's get it just
Cool.
before the Mike Parsons Memorial.
Absolutely.
We'll hype it up. Maybe we'll get a few people as well into the program. We'll do a full, nice, longer episode where we just have a few of the guys from Laird, and we will have a whole episode dedicated to that weekend. Hype it up some more. I'm gonna write that down shortly after the show, but that is
Absolutely.
I'm 100% down for that.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'd love to be back on. I think we've only brushed the surface, and there's so much more to
I
talk
think
about.
so
Like,
too.
you know what I mean? So
But like I said, we're gonna get into our tailored to you media and design fan question period, where, as you saw earlier today, that you were gonna be our guest tonight on the show, and we got a few questions for you. Are you ready to answer them?
sure, let's do
All
it.
right. First one comes up from George DeFelice. Is Jet going to be your new crew chief for 2024 and beyond? And also, how did you get so handsome?
No, George, you are still my crew chief. As long as you want to be my crew chief. And my 12-week-old puppy, I don't know how he got so handsome. He's great, but he's got no racing knowledge at all. So I mean, no question is a stupid question, but George, that is a stupid question.
And then, of course, we got Deanna Tommy Burmaster. Who takes all your super cool photos?
Wild and Free Photography. They are fantastic. They take great shots. And I guess last year they just found out that they were really good at taking racetrack photos. Well, they're going to continue to do that this year.
Awesome. That is great. William _ Trillion from Instagram. He goes, "What is your favorite racing memory for at Laird?"
Oh, that's a good question. Factory stock 2015, 63 lap Chris Jones Memorial. We lost a really, really good guy that year. Chris Jones was like the type of guy that would help you, do anything you needed at the racetrack. He was there for you. He was just a fun-loving guy. We lost him in an accident before that race season, and the week before that race, I think something happened with my clutch, if I do remember correctly. His girlfriend had given me some of his clutch parts to get my car going again.
Oh, wow.
And I ended up going out the next week to race that memorial race. And I don't know where I was running, probably third, fourth, something like that. I was trying to make my way through the field, blew a tire, came off, changed it, drove it from the back to the front, and won the thing with his parts in my car. And yeah, that's only brushing the surface on that story. That was maybe one of the best nights of my life. It was a really, really cool memory that I will cherish forever. And his family was extremely excited for me. And I'm still very good friends with that family. They're an amazing family and great people. And Chris Jones's memory will forever live on at that facility. He's dearly missed.
You know what? Next time you come back on, we're
definitely gonna talk about that.
I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna re-listen to this episode prior to you coming on, and just to make sure we get all the correct notes I need for that next episode.
Absolutely.
We got one more questions coming, and it's again from William_Trillium on Instagram. What would you tell someone who's thinking about racing at Laird Raceway?
What would I tell someone? Sorry, what was the question?
What would you tell someone who's thinking about racing at Laird?
Do it. Just do it. It's a lot of fun. You're gonna meet some of the best people you've ever met in your life. You're gonna create some of the best memories you're ever gonna have in your life. And it's just, I don't know. You can't describe it. You really can't describe what racing does to you. And I'm happy that I did. And I encourage everyone to get into something that they love and something that interests them. And for me, racing is that thing again, thankfully, in my life. And I'm forever grateful for the people and the memories that I've made. Just do it. Just do the damn thing.
Like Nike says, just do it. All right. Well, that is our Tailor to You Media and Design fan question period. Of course, we got to thank everyone who submitted questions this week. And of course, we got to thank our guest, JP, for taking the time to answer those questions. Make sure you guys tune in every Sunday at noon to see who is going to be our next guest on the show. Yeah, like I said, dude, we haven't even scratched the surface yet, which is great when you have conversations like this. It was phenomenal getting a chance to meet you. Like I said, I'm going to be making a plan to come up to Laird for 2025. I'm hoping for that memorial race in August, so that way I can get a great experience of Laird, of the area. Because one being, I don't think I've traveled through Sault Ste. Marie yet. But it is a place I've heard good things about. I would love to travel. I'd love to see more of the province. And of course, if I get a chance to go to a new raceway, that is on my bucket list to be able to go. Before we let you go, because this is one of the things that usually takes a few minutes to do, we're going to give you the next couple minutes here. You can thank everyone and anyone who has helped you in your racing career, from your sponsors to your family. I always like to make a little fun here, to your ancestors who came over here on the Mayflower all those years ago, to your future great great grandchildren who are still racing at Laird Raceway 150 years from now. Now is the time to thank them, and of course thank your sponsors as well.
Well, I really appreciate all of this, Jonathan. This was a pleasure. And my story and the next few chapters of my racing career probably wouldn't be a thing if it weren't for my crew. I've got George DeFelice is my crew chief, Pat Ramsey, Michael Gold. I want to thank my girlfriend for allowing me to spend so much time in the shop. I want to thank the Viotto family for reintroducing me to racing. They have no idea the impact that they've had on me in the last year of my life. As far as my sponsors go, I want to thank Stuff Lubricants, Cavera Inc., Sports Center Bar and Grill, Russo Developments, Joe Russo Professional Corporation, Steel Speed, Microage, Bergstrom Beef, Wild and Free Photography, D&M Group, and then lastly, a big one who is, what an amazing guy this guy is. Not only for racing and whatnot, but like just he's become a pretty good friend through my crew chief, George DeFelice, is Kevin Rusnell with Outspoken Brewing, Peace Restaurant, Digital Intelligence Group, and Village Media. He is an extremely big player in our racing program this year, and I cannot thank him enough for not only the support for our race team, but just being a cool dude. The guy's awesome. He's taken over Outspoken Brewing this year, and if you're in the Sioux area, you need to go over there and have a beer this summer because that's where I'll be, and it's where all the cool kids hang out anyway. So that's it, I think.
Awesome. Well, like I said, we're gonna have to get you back on. We've barely scratched the surface. Um, I do think Rita is right. You are definitely the life of the party up there, as she said in our group chat earlier. Like I said, we're gonna have to get you back on, chat some more, because this was so much fun to do tonight. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight on the True North Racing Podcast.
John, thanks for having me, man. And I can't wait to do this again with you at the end of the year.
Sounds good, man. Well, you go enjoy the rest of your Sunday night, okay?
All right. Take care, brother.
Have a good one.
Yeah, man.
All right, and we're back from our conversation with JP Delpaggio. Man, what a freaking... We barely scratched the surface on that, you guys, and that is just... Oh, that is just something you guys don't always get to see, is a conversation like that where you barely scratch the surface, but you cover so much at the same time. Like I said, we are going to be bringing JP back in a huge way later on this year. I'm hoping to get a huge, nice little round table, maybe just do an episode, no opener, no nothing, just an hour and a half or so of just talk about Laird Raceway leading up to the Memorial Race in August there. I'm making a plan to go to that track. It is such a great, looks like it's a hidden gem just outside of Sault Ste. Marie. Super late model guys, if you guys are listening, make a plan, get up there, go to that Memorial Race on I think it's August 24th, 25th weekend, I think. Other than that, guys, they got Thursday Night Thunder up there. They got regular racing up there. It is been go check them out on YouTube, Facebook. If you guys can find any videos, photos, I highly suggest going to go watch them. It is such great content to be able to see that track like that, be able to go out and race. Oh, man. I don't really have much else for you guys for tonight. But I got to thank each and every one of you for tuning in this week to the True North Racing Podcast presented by Driving With Hailey. It has been another great week. Next week, I forget who's even on next week right now. I'm gonna look this up because I do always have a checklist of who is coming up on the show. Because I like to keep everyone informed of who's coming up. Ooh, next week we got Mark Allen. We got the Pure Stock driver. Man, that's a little frustrating. We were supposed to have Mark on a couple weeks ago. We were supposed to be with Mark yesterday at Flamborough Speedway. But yeah, now he's gonna be on the show next weekend. It's gonna be awesome to get back to chatting with him. And hopefully they get a race in next weekend so we can see how well his season's been going, as well as see what and find out more about him. And that's the goal of these shows, is to find out more about the drivers and make it feel like we're sitting in a shop. That's what we want to do. But other than that, guys, I have nothing else for you this week. I got to thank all our sponsors of the show. Just had a pen roll off my desk. Uh-oh. Is that the paranormal? Probably not. It was probably me just misplacing my pen on the counter. Of course, the True North Racing Podcast presented by Driving With Hailey. Our guest segment is presented by Graphic Design Studio. We have our fan question period presented by Taylor to You Media Design. Of course, we got to thank Wilds Printing, One Night Marketing, Valhalla Mobile, Georgetown Printing, Vision 20 Studios, and Lift the Visor for all of what they do, as well as our Day at the Races sponsor, GTM Racing. They do so much for the show, so much for Joe Media Promotions. We got to thank them, of course. We are going to have a full race day vlog with Cody Wilds coming up soon. And also, side note, we have a stack of Lift the Visor stickers. They are not for sale, but we are willing to give them to you as long as all we ask is a donation made to Change for Change. So if you guys would like to lift the visor decal, they come in packs of 2 this year. For your race car or for your personal vehicle, it doesn't matter. Get a hold of me, ask about the Lift the Visor, or you can reach out to Jory Elliott or at Lift the Visor, and of course Lift the Visor on Facebook and Instagram, and get your stickers today. Other than that, you guys, I got nothing else. So without further ado, I'm your host. This has been an episode 134 of the True North Racing Podcast presented by Driving With Hailey. Thank you all for listening. My name is John Morrison, signing off for tonight. We'll see you all next week. Bye now.
Room and by, smell the gas and feel the vibe, going into overdrive. Drop the flag.